Welcome back to Comics, the Hot Comics TV, and The Ghost in the Shell by Master Mangaka Shiro Masamune. Alright, so we talked about this on the previous video. Um, uh, Sorry, where these other trades or these books are also part of the collection. And it came on a beautiful slipcase. Sorry, I should have stopped that. So that's the book set if you're interested in getting this. And there was another edition of this that had one big Oni boss with this literally the first book, the second book, and the last this last trade all in one big gigantic Oni boss edition. Like now the reason for what this was done, I guess, is just to cut costs. But if you have been in the fence, now I'm gonna sort of whet your appetite and sort of show you what's on all of these things. Obviously, the first book is a classic that came out in the 80s. This came out, oh my goodness, at the beginning of the 2000s. So here are the floppies. I got all of them because I bought them right when it came out. Now I'm kicking myself that I didn't get these action figures because they're worth a lot of money now. And anyway, that's how collecting goes, I guess. One of those things. So, Ghost in the Shell 2, huh? This book has been quite polarizing for a lot of folks, for a lot of the audience. I always hear bad things about this. I never really remember going to forums or because back in the day when these issues that were published by Dark Horse, how could you say no to these things? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to adjust the camera and here we go. And damn it, that's much better. Okay, so the thing with this was that when it was coming out, how could you not buy the comic? You'd be crazy not to buy the comic, especially from Masamune Shiro. It's a beautiful comic book that's surpassing the quality of the normal comics. This is Dark Horse, and Dark Horse has always made these beautiful, beautiful comics. And I just realized one thing: this is happening to that side, and this is happening to the other side. Dark Horse, the things you do. So I wonder if anybody's ever done this. If anybody go like, oh, I'm gonna read them like this at the same time. So the Dark Horse translations obviously here, and this is Kodansha. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, this is it's Kodansha Comics. So look, if you have this, you don't need this. But if you have a collecting illness like I have, you're gonna have to buy everything. So having said that, let's just do quickly the color comparison. Now, at this stage, Masamune Shiro, Mr. Shiro, has already gone the whole hog of doing digital construction of his comics. You can sort of tell that the stage background is all digitally done in 3D. I dare to say the only things that now he's laboring on to speed things up is on the character design. As you can sort of see the major, she's traversing the highway of information, like William Gibson created in the Neuromancer. She's surfing the internet, but this one's a lot burnt. The colors are richer, where this one's a little bit more washed. Now, the treatment of the paper is that this is a this is not a glossy paper where this one is. So that's the difference between the floppies and the and the trade paperback. Now, this is beautiful. Also, it's got its value due to the fact that it's got a hardcover, where your floppy can take so much damage, while you're opening it up. And I mean, if you're gonna go that route of like, oh, I'm a purist collector sort of thing, you would have this seal with cardboard. You would card them, and you would put a plastic bag, obviously, like we all do. But but other than that, I mean, you're probably better off with the trade paperback if you're not that hell bent on getting the floppies. That's up to the collector's choice, I guess. But anyway, like, so you can sort of see that the colors are a little bit brighter and a little bit more burnt on this. And I don't know what omissions would have been made to this. So he's using a lot more CG, as we can sort of tell here. It's quite beautiful what Shiro puts together. So this has got a mattish finish, and it's odd also because they changed the bubbles. So let's see, maybe we should encourage our pursuer a bit and see how he responds. Maybe we should encourage our pursuer a bit and see how he responds. Okay, so it's the same translation. I hadn't done this comparison before, but it's the same thing so far. They kept the kanji sound effects like in Japanese on the Kodansha edition, whether in the Dark Horse we got whoosh, we got sounds of water in English, and we got certain aspects of ephemera, like technical text, still in Japanese in this one, whether this one's got it all translated in English. Alright, so that's interesting. So as we can sort of see, Mr. Shiro, Masamune Shiro, has gone on, because this is quite some time. I don't know how long it took him to do this. I was shocked to see this come out, because there was never talk that he was going to do a follow-up to the Ghost in the Shell. The Ghost in the Shell, the first anthology, let's call it that, that collection was pretty much condensed on the sense that it was one story that was short stories, right? It was short stories, and the puppeteer or puppet master at the end, when he fuses with the major, you thought that was the end of the major, because the major had gone rogue, and she's going to go into this, because they talk about the primordial soup of creation, and what, the existential questions about what makes human, the spirits and all that sort of thing. Do robots have like eventually grow like a spirit? Because that's what the puppet master is this artificial intelligence that sort of brews and comes out of like information from the networks, and then becomes this entity. And it's quite an interesting sort of commentary about all of that. And then when the major merges with that, they're supposed to be, but they both cease to exist after that, and a new entity will come out of that birth. So they're giving birth to another, to the next thing. Maybe it's the next chain of evolution for humanity. These are all the questions that Masamune Shiro makes on that, and there's a lot of that existential commentary on this. Like Makoto even comes in with a different name, which escapes me, because Aramaki, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name. Like, she comes in with a different name. But anyway, a lot of these sort of a lot of these things, like like, what do you call it? This commentary about like that sort of existentialistic sort of like existence comes in, and then the major comes back on this. So that was the shock about that for me, that the character was going to continue. Obviously, if you are a comic creator and you're an author, you're some sort of auteur in whatever medium that you're working on. You could be working in film, or creating comics, or writing novels, or whatever it might be. you are going to always ponder and wonder where's that character gonna go to. So that's the thing with this. But yeah, anyway, let's not bog down on that because we could be talking for many hours about the plot of this series of books. And I kind of want to focus a little bit more on the art because to me it's also another evolution from Masamune Shiro that he's gone whole. The majority of the work has gone digital, as you can sort of see here, and I think he's using 3D because there's a lot of. It feels a lot of these graphics feel they're in a 3D asset, like in a 3D environment, and they become assets, just graphics that are sort of mapping the, what do you call it, the polygonal sort of structure of the stage where he's putting his cartoons on it, and the coloring and everything. So look at that. Like I remember seeing these pages for the first time on the original printout, and see how beautiful they are and how vivid they are. Next to the Kodansha. The Kodansha is a little, what do you call it, light in color. So on this, it's a little bit hard to digest because a lot of people were sort of making the comments that it was too convoluted, and it was like, yeah. And there's another thing is that you would have to have the betting to had read the original one. See how vivid these two are? Like the difference between the two bits of art. This one, it's a lot. It comes out glossier because the paper does lend to be it's glossy paper, and it lends itself to look a lot brighter. I guess what I'm trying to say is like the colors are like the more vivid on these on the floppies. But what an interesting thing to see. Okay, let's continue with that. We won't do more comparison because otherwise this video is going to be like too long. So, so the where the major has gone is that now she's, what do you call it? I dare to say, I don't know if she's back with Section 9. I can't remember. It was quite a while. And I must admit that Ghost in the Shell I have revisited many times. Whether this book I have read once. And that tells me a lot about maybe, I don't know, maybe because I've gotten older and I don't have that much time to come in and revisit things like I am right now. But I shouldn't be complaining. I mean, it's a treat to see Masamune Shiro doing comics, especially after the heavy amount of work that he's done in the past. All 3D, this is all CG. I mean, the first book, he had always implemented a lot of CG and special effects. I remember, I don't know if I remember reading this in one of the, in the Depth Depot, in the Battle Depot, Weapon Depot book. And I don't know if he was commenting on that, or maybe it might have been another magazine, I can't remember, that he would scan or photograph textures of metal and use those as assets to later on skin the areas that he wanted to skin in 3D, to make him look 3D. So the level of digitization and process that he's gone through with the software, with Photoshop, because he's using Photoshop, it goes to that other level of texturizing and making things a little bit more tactile. So this is what he's coming from, So I've always been enamored with that idea that, you're creating this sort of remix. I mean, musicians do it all the time with their music. They're not really working in an analog sort of environment. They're working with a lot of digital software, and they're doing loops and, recordings on top of recordings. The same thing is in Photoshop. You're working with like a high level amount of layers and then putting 3D assets, so he doesn't have to labor on this background. He's sort of focusing just on the characters. I mean, this would have taken a long time to sort of do, and he's making it work because obviously we're talking about 3D and we're talking about early 3D. Well, not early because this is mid 2000s whenever this came out. I can't remember when this came out. Let's take a look. What year was this? 2003. There you go. So yeah, to me that was a bit of a shock to see this coming out. Now I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room. There's a lot of people that have complained. Obviously, this is not literature or material for kids. If you're thinking about that, you're insane. This is got adult themes. It's got all the what do you call it? All the tropes and all of the taboo topics that Masamune Shiro likes to talk about and likes to draw, and it also is about the man. He is being interested in doing a lot of obviously erotic art, which is on by all means go for it, do it. Artists in Europe do it. Sirpiri does it. Milo Manaro does it. Janjiro Mobius did it, and so I don't see any problem. I mean, when we're talking about art here, so I'm not one to criticize what the author or the author is doing on his material, on his work, because he's talking, and doing all of the material that he wants to do. So to hear silly comments says, "Oh, it's making me uncomfortable," well, then don't buy the book. And don't read it, and don't come in and talk about it. I don't talk about cricket, for crying out loud. I don't like cricket. I don't enjoy cricket. And yet I don't go to forums or bag on people that like cricket. If they like cricket, power to you, brother. You do what you want to do. But don't start commenting on things that, that make you uncomfortable. That's irked me to hear comments like that. So please, stop with that type of commentary and criticism. It's just silly. Anyway, going away from that rant, he's gone and doing all of these highway sort of like assets, and he's smartly going from a transition of color. And there's another thing that shocked me was the quantity of color that he applied on this series, and then he's doing the smart thing of going, monochrome into this sort of like black and white, and doing these beautiful like what do you call it, renderings. And now he's gone full hog, where he's just coming and laboring with his mechanical pen and doing the normal mangaka stuff. So it's kind of like looking like he's cropped the work in half, and he's doing a lot of the color parts in 3D, speeding things up, and then he's coming and laboring the old traditional way, which he's just drawing all of this. And you can sort of see that the man's like quick at what he does, and he's really good at it. But then again, there's certain pages that he's adding more 3D. He must have assistants now. He must have like an assistant that's like doing all the 3D sort of material, and he's just implementing on certain aspects of the pages. Because now you can actually do that. You can actually scan all of these at a high resolution, more than 300 dpi. You can go up to. It's still back then. I guess you would have scanners, and you would have been able to go work at a maximum scale. We're talking about maybe 1,000 dpi, and you're talking about files that are maybe 50 megabytes. So it's not like that large in the scheme of things. But when you're working at that scale, you can sort of start introducing things like this, and then you won't have like the raster. It won't be affected because you don't have a pixelation rate on the imagery. So, it will be. It's still a high fidelity. You would have good quality resolution for the imagery. And then you can do tricks on it, like, for example, doing dual shade tones and textures, which I'm pretty sure the mangakas now are doing digitally. I don't think they would be coming in and start cutting all of these. It would be way too time consuming, and it's a lot cheaper because those things are also expensive. Anyway, so the Major's doing her thing in this. Again, very clever coloring sections. What book is this? just for the sake of looking at. We'll flip through the floppies quickly. Okay, so it's 5. So that's 2. That's 3. What's this one? Is that 4? Apparently, this was supposed to be. I can't really remember if this was supposed to be like 11 issues, or am I wrong? No, it's 11 issues. It is 11 issues. What am I saying? I'm thinking of something else. These Dark Horse issues are beautiful. I can't begin to give it credit. Okay, I forgot it's on the other side. So you can sort of see that the, what do you call it, pages are glossier on these. And I dare to say and feel, I don't open these books that often. As I said, I haven't really revisited them in a while. I feel like the pages are becoming a bit more yellow now. Like I'm sort of seeing the difference between these and the others. But anyway, seems like a lot of these are like 3D assets just being inserted onto it as the major. There's another thing, and in this one, the major's bunny hopping from one body to the next. She's never really staying in the one, encapsulating herself in the one body. She's just freely traversing from one body to the next. So yeah, quite beautiful, the whole amount. And here's like talking about like, what do you call it? Because that's the bond that she's always got to pick, is about her youth, and she doesn't really know where she came from and all that other stuff. So yeah, look, it's quite the beautiful collection on it. So anyway, let's just keep it to this. Let's just wrap this up. Otherwise, we'll go over these for a long time. So that's 6. 7. That was the picture I was looking for, like different color schemes. 8, 9. And it's beautiful what Masamune Shiro does. It's just superb work. Anyway, that's it. That's Ghost in the Shell Part 2. There's plenty of places that I'm not going to talk about, or where you can read this if you cannot get your hands on this book. But I do highly recommend you to get your hands on this if you're a fan already. I don't have to tell you that, you know what to do. But also, it's not a bad read. I mean, it's a bit it's existentialistic. It's got that philosophy, and also the questioning about what do you call it? What is human and what's not, and what's artificial intelligence? The next step of evolution, all that sort of stuff. It's, I guess, a bit convoluted and a bit hard to digest. But overall, if you like the art, if you like the works in the series, and you like Makoto as a character as well, by all means, it's good. It's good, fun stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Please like and subscribe and all those good things. Until next time, bye bye.